Okay, let's talk about if you actually have a problem with your ceramic coating and what to do about it. We talked in the first video of the what to do after having your car ceramic coated about if you notice a high spot. First of all, give it about a week, wash it once, and see if the spot is still there. A lot of coatings self-level over the first 7 days, and what appears to be a high spot now will level itself after 5 to 7 days, sometimes 2 or 3 days for most of them that I've seen have gone away in 2 to 3 days, but give it 5 to 7 days, give it that first wash anyway, and see if that spot does not completely go away all on its own. If it's there beyond that time frame after that first wash, call your detailer. It's not a big deal. I've dealt with a few high spots in my day. It does periodically happen, and the reason high spots will happen sometimes is that your detailer is trying to level the coating as little as humanly possible to get a mirror finish whenever they are applying the coating. And what that basically means is they're rubbing on it as little as possible after applying the ceramic coating to that given section, simply because they don't want to risk rubbing it too much and introducing any marring into the coating. So it's one of those things that happens. It's not a big deal. Most high spots are 5-minute fixes, and then you're back on the road again, no big deal. Most detailers will even come to you to fix a high spot because you don't need a lot of tools, you don't need a lot of equipment, it does not take much time, and it's a really quick, easy fix that you're not going to get charged any money for, especially if you bring one to me where there's a high spot. It's not going to cost you a penny, you'll be on your road in just a few minutes. So if you have a high spot, give it a week, make sure it's not just part of the self-leveling process, and then beyond that, just call your detailer and have them come out and take a look at it. If it is a true high spot, quick, easy fix, no big deal. So, but let's talk if we have something more than that. Let's say you've driven it for a while, you went on a long road trip, it's covered in tar. That's when you need to call your detailer, because you need to make sure you're using products that are safe for tar removal on a ceramic coated car. Let's say that after 6 months, the hydrophobic abilities of the coating are really muted and it's just not beating water that way that it used to. It probably needs a true decontamination wash. It needs several steps. You might have contamination on the surface. You might have some sort of overspray. That's when you bring it to your detailer and have them professionally decontaminate it so that you're back looking its best again. One of the things that sometimes we run into in the detailing industry is that a client will think that a ceramic coating has failed simply because it's not beating water like it used to. First of all, if a car is really, really dirty, then the hydrophobic abilities are going to be impacted. No matter what coating you have on there, if the car is dirty, it will reduce the hydrophobic abilities of that coating. Secondly, sometimes the pores of the coating get clogged if you leave dirt and grime on the coating for an extended amount of time. And when that happens, you need more than just a standard wash to get that back. That's when you need to either really invest in some products to do this right, but if you don't have the know-how, you don't have the energy, or you just don't care, take it to your detailer and pay him or her for a really thorough decontamination wash to get that coating back to day one. It's not the end of the world. The coating has not failed. It's really hard as long as a detailer has prepped the surface correctly for a coating to truly fail and just fade away where there's nothing there. If that is the case, that does periodically happen. Sometimes it's the detailer's fault. Sometimes the coating has had an issue. Sometimes there was a cure issue. Sometimes people will wash the car prematurely before that 7-day mark, and it will harm the durability of the coating. One of the things that I would highly recommend as a professional detailer, if you run into this instance, because a lot of people watch my videos that have not or will never have a car coated by me simply because of geographical reasons, is that they think that the detailer or the coating has somehow done them wrong, and there's just not enough information when you say, it's not working like I think it should work. There's just not enough information to say whether the coating has failed or not. I get messages and emails from people all around the country, sometimes all around the world, due to a lot of my YouTube videos that have a lot of views, and they say, what's wrong with this coating? And I usually respond back, there's no way for me to know. There's no way for me to know. You bring it to my shop and we go through the whole decontamination process, then I can kind of have an idea of what's going on with the coating. But if you're having an issue with the coating, that's when you need to go back to your detailer, have him or her inspect the vehicle, decontaminate the vehicle, and then go from there. If you have someone that's working in high integrity and they really take care of their clients, they're going to fix the issue for you. If it's a real issue, if there's a real problem with the coating, that it's failed prematurely or there's some kind of problem with it, they will take care of you. But don't just jump to conclusions that they've done a poor job or they've ripped you off or the coating has not done well, because usually it's a simple problem like the coating needs to be decontaminated properly, and after that's done, the coating comes right back to life and it looks like $1 million again. That is what happens 90% of the time in these instances. And when it's not that instance, if you have a good high quality detailer that you trust, they will take care of you. So I highly recommend, if you really think there's an issue with the coating, call your detailer, go to your detailer and say, hey, can you look at this for me and see what's going on? And they would be more than happy to rectify the problem. But if you don't tell your detailer that you think there is an issue, they won't know that there is an issue. So open that line of communication, let them know if you think there really is an issue with your coating, and then go from there. It's more often than not a quick and easy fix, but you have to communicate with the detailer what's going on, what your process has been for taking care of the coating, and then they're going to have more information about how to proceed forward, rectify the problem, and get your coating looking back to 100% again.